Number: no warning, no mercy. The Council witnessed humanity's hunter in action. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the Great Chamber. Their various forms of communication, creating a cacophony of clicks, chirps, electronic tones, and telepathic static. At the center of it all, the holographic display showed the impossible. 17 ships of the Vorthok Third Fleet, drifting dead in space around what should have been a defenseless human research station. Ambassador Velnara of the Altarian Collective rose from her crystalline perch, her energy form flickering with agitation. The implications of this event extend far beyond a simple military engagement. For the first time in galactic history, a pre-Council species has demonstrated the capability to completely disable a major fleet without destroying it. This suggests a level of technological sophistication that our intelligence networks failed to detect. Supreme Counselor Thane Dar, whose ancient race had presided over galactic politics for millennia, activated the chamber's central communication array. We have been monitoring human space for over 2 centuries. Their technological development has followed predictable patterns consistent with a young, isolated civilization. How do we explain this sudden advancement? The answer came from an unexpected source. A transmission request appeared on the chamber's main display, originating from the human station at the center of the crisis. After brief deliberation, the Council voted to accept the communication. Commander Zara Chen appeared before the assembled representatives of galactic civilization, her image projected with perfect clarity across the massive chamber. She wore the same military uniform from her earlier transmissions, but now her expression carried something that made even the most powerful species in the galaxy shift uncomfortably in their seats. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation matrix. "I am Commander Chen of the Human Colonial Defense Force. I am contacting you to provide clarification regarding recent events in our space." Counselor Thane Dar leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the human with newfound interest. "Commander Chen, your species has demonstrated capabilities that were previously unknown to this council. We require explanation of how a pre-spacefaring civilization acquired such advanced technology." Chen's smile held no warmth. "With respect, Counselor, your classification of humanity as pre-spacefaring is approximately 200 years out of date. We've been traveling between stars since your intelligence services last bothered to check on us. The real question isn't how we acquired this technology. The question is why none of you warned us that joining galactic civilization meant becoming targets for every aggressive species in the sector." A wave of uncomfortable silence swept through the chamber. Several representatives exchanged glances that suggested this conversation was heading in directions they had hoped to avoid. Ambassador Zelkor of the Hegemony activated his communication array, his metallic voice resonating with authority. Human space was clearly marked as neutral territory under Council protection protocols. Any attacks on your species constitute violations of galactic law. "Really?" Chen's tone suggested she found this claim amusing. "Then perhaps you can explain why we've been fighting off raiders, slavers, and conquest fleets for the better part of a century with no assistance from any Council species. The Altarians tried to strip mine our outer colonies 15 years ago. The Vorthok have been conducting raids against our civilian shipping for 3 decades. The Hegemony attempted to invade Mars itself during what your records probably classify as a minor border adjustment." The chamber erupted in chaos as representatives began demanding clarification from each other. Velnara's energy form pulsed with what her species expressed as embarrassment. "The Altarian involvement in human space was conducted by rogue elements, not sanctioned by our government." "Rogue elements," Chen repeated, her voice carrying dangerous undertones. "Interesting phrase. The 300,000 civilians who died during your rogue element strip mining operations might have preferred a different term, but they're not available for comment anymore." Supreme Counselor Thane Dar raised his hand for silence. "Commander, if these incidents occurred as you describe, why were they not reported through proper diplomatic channels?" Chen stared at him for a long moment before responding. "Because we didn't know proper diplomatic channels existed. Your Council's first official contact with humanity was scheduled for next year. Until then, We assumed we were on our own in dealing with species who considered us acceptable targets. The implications of this statement sent another wave of unease through the chamber. Ambassador Korath of the Zelnar hegemony activated his communication array with visible reluctance. "Commander, our records indicate that humanity was placed under observation status pending formal evaluation for Council membership. During this period, interference with your development was strictly prohibited." "But you didn't inform the species doing the interfering," Chen observed. "So while you were busy observing us from a distance, others were using us for target practice. That might explain why our technological development didn't follow your predicted patterns. It's amazing how quickly a species advances when survival depends on adaptation." She gestured toward something beyond the camera's view, and the display shifted to show a comprehensive star chart covering the entire local sector. Red markers indicated the locations of attacks against human colonies and shipping over the past century. The pattern that emerged painted a disturbing picture of systematic predation. Every one of these markers represents an attack against human civilian populations. Every attack taught us something new about galactic technology and military doctrine. The Altarians showed us energy manipulation. The Vorthok demonstrated plasma weaponry and shield systems. The hegemony introduced us to gravity-based weapons and faster-than-light communication. Dozens of smaller raids provided lessons in cyber technology, biological warfare, and psychological operations. Counselor Thanedar's expression had shifted from curiosity to growing alarm. "Commander, are you suggesting that humanity reverse-engineered technology from each attacking species?" "Not just reverse-engineered," Chen corrected. "We improved it. Human engineers have this habit of taking existing technology and making it better. We combined Vorthak plasma systems with Altarian energy, focusing to create weapons that exceed the capabilities of either original design. We integrated hegemony, gravity manipulation with our own quantum mechanics to develop defensive systems that your physicists probably consider impossible." The chamber fell completely silent as the full scope of what had happened became clear. Humanity hadn't been the victim of random attacks. They had been systematically educated in galactic warfare by every aggressive species in the sector, and they had been very good students. Ambassador Velnara's energy form flickered with something approaching fear. "Commander, what are your species' intentions regarding galactic civilization? Will humanity seek retribution against those who attacked you?" Chen's expression softened slightly, but her eyes remained cold. "We're not interested in conquest or domination. We never were. But we're also not interested in being anyone's prey. The species that chose to attack us have lost that privilege permanently. The Vorthak Third Fleet currently drifting around this station will be returned to Confederacy space with a message explaining our new position regarding unprovoked attacks." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "However, we are interested in joining galactic civilization under the proper circumstances. We've learned a great deal about technology and warfare, but we still have much to learn about diplomacy and peaceful coexistence. That's assuming, of course, that such things actually exist at the galactic level." Supreme Counselor Thanedar nodded slowly. "Commander, the Council would be very interested in formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Your species has clearly demonstrated that you possess both the capability and the restraint necessary for Council membership." "Restraint?" Chen raised an eyebrow. "Counselor, I disabled 17 warships without killing a single crew member. I could have reduced them all to atomic particles, but I chose not to. That's not restraint. That's a warning." She leaned forward, her gaze seeming to fix on each representative individually. "Humanity has learned many things over the past century, but the most important lesson was this. In a galaxy where strength is respected above all else, weakness is an invitation for exploitation. We're no longer weak. We're no longer isolated, and we're no longer interested in being anyone's victim." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. After a long moment, Counselor Thanedar activated his personal communication array. "Emergency resolution," he announced. "Humanity is hereby granted immediate provisional membership in the Galactic Council, pending formal ratification. All previous territorial claims in human space are void. Any further attacks on human populations will be considered acts of war against the Council itself. As representatives began filing from the chamber, each lost in their own thoughts about this new reality. One fact remained clear to everyone present. The galaxy had gained a new apex predator, and it wore a human face. 3 days later, the crew of the Vorthak Third Fleet was released at their home system's edge, along with a simple message burned into each ship's hull in letters 10 meters high. Humans remember everything. Choose your next actions carefully. The message was delivered in perfect Vorthak script, translated with nuances that indicated intimate knowledge of their culture and psychology. It was signed with a single human symbol that would soon become familiar throughout the galaxy. The image of a predator that hunted other predators. The age of humanity's isolation was over. The age of their ascendancy had begun.